Hello everybody, you're listening to Pastor's Corner. I'm your host, Pastor Alfred. Pastor's Corner is a series of broadcasts that highlight certain portions of information in books that I'm currently writing or books that I have already written and published that will be of great benefit to pastors and ministers of the gospel. The topic for today is unorthodox. Let us first of all look at the meaning of the word unorthodox. According to the English dictionary, it means contrary to what is usual, traditional, or accepted. Some synonyms of unorthodox is unconventional, unusual, uncommon, out of the ordinary, radical, revolutionary, nonconformist, irregular, offbeat. That is some of the words that come to mind that are synonyms of the word unorthodox, so that you understand the concepts of being unorthodox. And you see, as ministers and pastors, especially general overseers of ministries, you have to be unorthodox. The thing is that we as pastors and general overseers have become so traditional in the way we transmit the gospel. Let us look at the book of Mark chapter 16 verse 15. And I'm reading from the Amplified Classic Version of the Bible. I read, "And he said to them, Go into all the world and preach and publish openly the good news, the gospel, to every creature of the whole world." Praise the Lord. You see, this is God's instruction for us. This is Jesus' instruction for us, that we should go into all the world and preach and publish openly the good news to every creature of the whole human race. You see, this means that the gospel should be transmitted via every means. A lot of us restrict the transmission of the gospel via the means that we are already used to, like via church buildings. We preach a sermon, or when we get on TV, we get on just Christian channels and we preach sermons. The world are not looking for sermons. The people of the world do not wake up in the morning or in the afternoon or whatever and put on the TV or go online, pick up their phones and browse YouTube or go to whatever app they view videos and then search for sermons and listen to them. You yourself weren't doing that before you got saved. You don't know anybody who did that before they got saved. So why do we do things like this and tell ourselves that we are reaching out to people, and we ignore certain things like making movies? We ignore things like making cartoons. We ignore things like making video games. If I tell you that part of the responsibility of a church is to make video games that are better than the ones that the world has to offer, better than the ones that Ubisoft, EA Games, and all the other companies have to offer, better than Super Mario, better than Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, better than all that the world has, the Assassin's Creed and the rest of them. You see, if I tell you that God expects you to do that, it will seem weird and strange, but that is the truth. The church should have video game divisions. The church should have movie production divisions that make movies. It is actually more important than sermons as far as reaching out is concerned, because nobody in the world is interested in listening to a sermon. Nobody. There is nobody who needs the gospel that wants to listen to a preacher talk for 30 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It's not so. That is why they need it. You see, people who need something the most often despise the solution or do not understand the value of the solution. if they understood the value, they would not have the disease. They will not be suffering under the pain of the disease. They will not be suffering under the pain of the consequences. If they understood the value of the gospel, they will already be Christians. You see? So, why is it that we deceive ourselves and spend so much money in putting church programs of ourselves preaching the gospel? We spend millions and millions and millions to secular TV stations to show us preaching the gospel. And we are going deep into the Bibles, teaching the Bible to people and telling ourselves that we are reaching the world. The testimonies and the people who come to Christ from those things that we do are a miracle, and it's only by the grace of God. But you see, we are neglecting what Jesus told us. You see, he said, go into all the world and preach and publish openly the good news to every creature of the human race. We should preach the gospel to everybody, no matter who they are and what they are into. So there should be an avenue as far as communication is possible via any means. The gospel should be transmitted via that means. The gospel should be transmitted via hip-hop. As far as people can talk with words like in hip-hop, the gospel should be transmitted there. As far as people talk in nightclubs, the gospel should be transmitted there. We should look for a way. Naturally, since nightclubs are geared towards sin, even strip clubs, we should look for a way to get the gospel in there. We should even go as far as building our own cafes and entertainment theaters. We remove the sin from it and then let the gospel be ministered there, not by somebody preaching a sermon, but via things that are normal and expected, like through the music. If the music is about relationships, let it be edifying and let it have God in it. There are a lot of love songs that can have God in it. There's nothing wrong with people gathering together to dance. So instead of a nightclub, we can have a replacement for that. You see, buy out the nice clubs and then we play our meaningful songs. You take out all the alcohol and put in, there are a large variety of different drinks that are not alcoholic. You see, the comedy shows, let them be Christian, no cursing. You see, no cursing, no insulting Christianity, no insulting anybody's beliefs or wherever they classify themselves as. You see, all this kind of things, we can put the gospel into every single thing, and that is what we are actually instructed to do. As far as communication is possible, look at radio. We should own the radio stations. We should own the media. And when we get on these things, it's not just preaching sermons on the radio or playing recordings of sermons that we preached in church and then playing it over the radio. No, the same thing that they are doing on radio, a DJ playing songs. We can have a Christian DJ play Christian songs. And you have to understand something about Christian music. Christian music goes beyond just music that you hear in church. Christian music refers to any music that glorifies God. It could be jazz, it could be rock, it could be rap, it could be blues, it could be classical. Does that music glorify God? As far as it glorifies God and it does not glorify the devil, that qualifies. So we can have our own radio stations where it is not just preaching the gospel or playing songs that fit into the church curriculum of what is classified as Christian music. We can go all out. We should occupy and expand into a lot of all these different things. And this is actually more important than all the things that we are doing. Look at the devil's kingdom. Does Satan go around building churches or buildings for himself? No. Yet his message is prospering and growing faster than the gospel and is dominating certain countries and is expanding. Why? Because the devil is using all the untraditional means that are now traditional to him, and we Christians do not use those means. The devil uses politics. He has his own political organizations. He founds political organizations that put forward his anti-Christian agendas. Do we Christians have any such things? No, we don't have any political organization that is explicitly Christian and at the core Christian and is geared towards the advancement of Christianity. We don't. Yet the world has a lot of political organizations that are geared towards the advancement of anti-Christian beliefs. And not just that, but organizations that are also geared towards the extermination, the specific extermination of Christian beliefs and Christian ideologies in the public space. Satan does all that. We put on the TV, we see American Idol. What about Christians having that kind of show? And then, not just having it in a way that it features only Christians and it's about Christians, but it covers everything. We should swallow up all that. You put on the TV or you look at your phone and go on YouTube, and a lot of all these videos that are there, how many of them are produced by churches? You see, churches spend a lot of money. Churches are actually content creators, in case you have not realized that. But why is it that you have not created content that is actually desired or sought for by the world? The world is not looking for preachers who are preaching sermons. You go on YouTube, you see so many videos that are made by people, sometimes in their living room, or people who just get friends together and make videos. There are a lot of internet celebrities that are doing such things and have even started and have been sponsored by certain companies, and they make their living that way. You see, a lot of people do that. Why don't we have something like that? How much is it going to cost the drama department of a church to produce a comedy skit that is acted out like what we see many people doing on YouTube? But you see, we think that doing that is not spiritual enough and it is not good enough. But no, Christianity is not about things of the flesh. Christianity is not about meeting certain standards that are determined by man. You see, Christianity is spiritual. Your relationship with God is spiritual. There is nothing unspiritual about letting your ministry and letting the activities of your church meet what the world is actually looking for, and actually using the mediums and the ways of communication that the world loves to use. You see, how many pastors are on TikTok or making videos that appeal to that market? You see, we are just doing the same thing. Every church is like a duplication. It's like a clone of the churches that were before them. That is just the truth. And the only changes are perhaps a few changes in doctrine, in one or few teachings. But every church is just a clone. We are doing the same things and expecting greater results and harvests. We are using old means of communicating with the world and telling ourselves that we are reaching the world just because people are still coming to Christ by the millions. But you see, there are so many different avenues that we are ignoring, and all these avenues are occupied by Satan. Look at the schooling system. Look at what has happened to the American educational system. That's leftist ideologies, non-Christian ideologies, and everybody has enough intellect to infiltrate the schools, and Christianity and Christians and pastors cannot infiltrate the schools. Feminists have infiltrated the schooling system of America. Non-Christians have and atheists who really hate Christianity have infiltrated the schooling system of America. The Democratic Political Party has infiltrated the schooling system of America. The transgender and the LGBTs have infiltrated the schooling system of America. They are now teaching children that they can choose their gender. And I'm talking about little kids, not even in college. I'm talking about, and I'm not even talking junior high. I'm talking about kindergarten and even less. You know, those children that are that young, they are teaching them that they can choose their gender and teaching them about being transgender and all kinds of nonsense like that. These people have the intellect and the common sense to know that they should infiltrate all these things. But we Christians do not. We just stick to using one method of communication. We build a church and then we preach. And then we expect people to come. Then a few people come, or sometimes millions come. We hold crusades. We are doing things that people and other churches have been doing before. What about all the different means? All the new means of communication and all the other avenues of communication that are just left open to the devil. You see? So we must be unorthodox. All these things are actually more important than a lot of the things that we are stuck on doing. As a matter of fact, someone who reaches the gospel through something as simple as web comics, you see, like, you know, comic strips like Calvin and For Better or For Worse, and you know, those kind of things. Somebody who does that could end up reaching millions per day on a daily basis by posting comic strips online on the internet. Can be reaching millions, while a pastor is reaching only 100 or 200 people, and he's so happy that 200 people show up at his church every Sunday. You see? And that other person who is sitting at home making comic strips is reaching millions. What if he starts pushing forward non-Christian ideologies? Now, him versus the pastor who has a congregation of 200 people, or a church building that can sit up to 10,000 people, in fact, who is reaching more people and who is making more impact in the world? You see? So this is a huge problem among the churches and in Christianity. We have left millions and millions of avenues of communication open for only the devil to use. And we have stuck to doing things that Christians before us and Christians who founded whatever denomination we subscribe to were doing. That is what we also do. We just build churches and then invite people to our churches, or we just put sermons on TV, like if the world is interested in listening to sermons. Are you aware that Muslims have their own teaching programs? Do you go out of your way to watch Muslim teaching programs on TV? No, you don't. A lot of you don't even know that Muslims have their own teaching programs on TV. As a matter of fact, some of you who are listening to this who are Pentecostals, do you know that there is actually a Catholic TV channel? You don't know. And the Catholics are somewhat related to Christianity, yet you are not even aware that they have their own TV channel. So what makes you think that all that preaching that you are doing on putting on TV is making much of an impact? The world is not looking for that. What makes you think that a lot of people in the world even know or are interested? They just see it and skim through. However, imagine if a blockbuster movie like any of the Marvel series, the Avengers or the Black Panther or whatever, what if it had a Muslim message and it taught certain things? Because quite frankly, they actually do teach certain things, and it's normally an anti-Christian message. Like the Black Panther movie had a lot of witchcraft and a lot of ancient African gods teaching and a lot of demonic teaching inside, just like the Avatar The Last Airbender has a lot of satanic and a lot of Eastern religion and a lot of teachings of that nature inside. Now, you are not somebody who goes out of your way to research or even care about such things. But now it has been put right in front of you. Why? Because it was presented in a blockbuster movie or a sitcom or a cartoon or something, or a medium in via Hollywood that attracts your attention and people go to for entertainment. You see? So that is why churches have to understand that all these other mediums of communication are actually more important and more effective than preaching sermons. Think about Jesus himself. Jesus told stories, parables. He was a storyteller. This is somebody that is telling people to go out to preach. But what did they see him do? They saw him tell stories. You see? In the scripture we read, Jesus told people to go out into the world and preach. He told his disciples to go out into the world and preach and publish the good news. Publish openly the good news. You see, but what did he do himself? He told stories. So that shows you that preaching to Jesus is wider than you think. It doesn't just refer to like what I'm doing now, or a preacher on the pulpit preaching a sermon. Telling stories that are Christian, telling stories that point people to Christ are included. And a movie is also a story. And this goes beyond just movies or music. I'm talking about any medium of communication. As far as communication is possible, Christians should dominate that area. And this speaks of mediums of communication that do not even exist today, that may exist in the future because of technology. You see, whatever it is, podcasts, whatever, it does not matter. Whatever exists, there is no limit to this. You see, we as Christians and pastors and ministers and general overseers, we must do our best to make sure that we actually honor this portion of the scripture. We actually honor the Great Commission, which is to preach the gospel. And preaching the gospel is not limited to teaching from a pulpit or talking or explaining the Bible via the medium, the simple method of explaining what scriptures mean and using words. We have to go beyond that, use movies, cartoons, video games, everything that has communication. Anywhere that communication is possible, we Christians must go in there and dominate it. And when I say dominate it, I mean we must swallow it. Nothing else should be there. There should be nothing that is anti-Christian or anything that, even if it is not anti-Christian, as far as it is not from us and as far as it is not Christian, it should not be there. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Therefore, everything that exists in this world should be something that is subject to God and should give glory to God. You see, it should not give glory to the devil. So that is it for today. For more information on what I've shared with you and to get more insights and similar information on what I've shared with you, go to pastoralfred.com and make sure you subscribe. There you will get alerts when new books I publish are released. You will also be able to get links to buy my books that are already published. Also, you can subscribe to get access to all the books that I write based on category. You know, what you are paying for is access, so you can go through that subscription. That will also help and be of great benefit to me and to you as we both learn, grow together, and are blessed together, you know, through that system. That way, rather than you buying a bunch of books All you have to do is subscribe once and get access to every book that I publish under certain categories. So once again, thank you and God bless you.